So you have developed or you teach a five-step process that can be applied to organizing everything and anything. Can you walk us through those steps and how leaders can use them to reduce overwhelm?
Oh, yes. Okay. My 5 steps spell the word space. And the first step to organizing is always to sort. Often we think that need to make decisions. And then when decisions are hard, you just stop. And so, even thinking about it with your closet, you walk in, this is my thing. When I walk in, I'm like, well, I need to get rid of some stuff. And if I do it like that, I look at something, I think, well, I might want to keep that. And I turn around and walk off and never get anything done. But if I took all the white clothes out of my closet and looked at them, or all the jeans out of my closet and looked at them, and then started making decision because I've sorted first, it becomes so much easier. So the first step is to just sort like items with like items. The second step then is to go back through each pile, each category, and purge. And that's when you start making decisions because now you see everything you have in that category, and decisions are easier to be made. And I always like to just start by choosing your favorites and pick your favorites out of there because then you see what you're using, what you love, um what things you want to keep initially, and then you can move on to things that might be harder to make decisions on, and you can follow other questions in that step. Once you have what you're going to keep, the next step is to assign homes. So sort, purge, assign homes. This is kind of a puzzle part of it. Like you may test certain areas, you want things that are you use often to be acceptable. You might want to use zones like have a reading zone or a baking zone, or on your desk, you might have a daily zone, or in your bathroom. So it's fun to figure that puzzle out of assigning homes. And then the next step, the fourth step, is to contain. And this is where you use the fun containers. And this is where a lot of people make the mistake is they think that first they go into Target or they see cute containers or they go buy a new planner. So don't ever do that step. Don't start with products or pieces of furniture or whatever it is. Always go through the steps first. Now you know what you're going to keep, you know where it's going to live. Will it be helpful to have a container or a divider or something to help it stay organized? And shop your house first, or shop your what you're using. You probably have 14 notebooks in your office. Shop that first before you go buy something new. And then the last step is to energize. And this is so fun because you're looking at your organization and you want to be energized by that. You want to ensure that you maintain that. So this is more the habit step. What am I going to put in place that's going to help me maintain this so I am energized by my organization? And I always say, tie it to something you already do. Maintenance can be tied to something you do. So if you do your taxes every year, clean out your paperwork at that time. If your kids start school, clean out your closets, right before you go school clothes shopping or whatever it is like that. If it's your desktop on your computer, every Friday before you close your computer, clean that desktop off or something like that. Just tie it to something you do.
For those people, how do you coach them to really, like what is the block there? And then how do you coach those people to let go?
Well, the first thing I would say is to look forward. Before you even start organizing anything, look forward and think about who am I in 6 months from now, in a year from now? What am I doing? What activities do I have? What does my space look like? So that you know in advance what you're working toward. So if you want to have 47 boxes lining the garage, totally fine, but decide that's who you're going to be ahead of time. Or if you want to have open, empty space in this area, then you decide that. Or if you're someone who wants to be more minimalistic in your closet, you can even decide as specific as like, I'm going to have 5 pairs of jeans. I'm going to have, whatever, 14 shirts, that kind of thing. So then when you get back to the decision making process, you're like, okay, I'm going to run this through the filter. This is who I'm becoming. This is what fits into that person's lifestyle. This is what fits into my vision for my future self. And so that makes you able to make decisions. Now, there's some other things you can look at and questions you can ask just to see why it's hard. Maybe you're not trusting that you're going to have everything you need when you need it. And so that becomes, we can bring that into it. Like one of the thoughts I love is I trust that I'll have everything I need when I need it.
When it comes to digital files, like what is the timeline? Because I have worked with organizations where they have a whole file folder of, I'm in nonprofits of grants that were handwritten in like the 80s and they are still there. And it was like 2018 and they had kept them for that long. And none of them had really been transferred to digital. So they would have a digital and a printed copy. Also, you kind of need that for auditing purposes. But what is like the timeline on keeping a digital file?
It varies so much, but I mean, it depends what your industry is, obviously. But in the case of a nonprofit, I think it's more challenging because you have people that come in oftentimes for shorter time periods and the stuff from the past, then they don't want to make the decision. And so I think it does take a time where the leadership is sits down and makes decisions about things that are really old and do they need them. Now, I'm not sure the legality of what needs to be kept from that time period, but it could be easily found out. But then the people that are in the decision-making process or positions, they need to be the ones that are together that make those decisions. And so oftentimes, I think of it like when I would organize for someone that, had a full-time career, they were busy, they didn't have time to sit with me and do it. One of the things that we did was I would just sort everything out. And then I would take them, walk down the lines of the stuff, and they could make the decisions. So that would be helpful, like in a group or on a board, if one or two people laid everything out, you had a list of things, and then the leadership or the people that are in could make the decisions on it would then walk through, and you could get it done really quickly, like walking through and making those decisions.
So, if someone's listening and they've gotten to the end of this podcast, do you have any lasting advice for like one step that they could take today to feel more organized?
Yes. First, be encouraged. Organization is a skill. It's not something that you either have or don't. It's just a skill, and you're going to practice it and know it. Second thing I would say is use the space. Use sort, purge, assign homes, contain, and then energize. Just use those 5 steps. I have a declutter challenge, a 15-minute declutter challenge that's brand new. I'm super excited about it. So they can get that at simplysquaredaway.com/declutter. And those steps are in there. Everything's spelled out. There's a couple pictures before and after of people that have done the challenge. And so just try it. I think it's less, it takes less time than you think. And also, it's going to take you from being stuck to getting started and knowing that it's totally possible.